You stand in front of the mirror. Morning light slides across the glass, soft but unkind. Your reflection blinks when you do, yet something feels off, a fraction of a second behind, as if the person inside the mirror is copying you, not being you. You tilt your head. They tilt theirs. It's perfect, but wrong. You tell yourself it's fatigue, age, bad lighting. But deep down, you know this is different. The image looks right, yet feels disconnected, like your mind and your body are running on two separate tracks that used to be one. You notice small things first. Your shoulders don't sit the way you imagine. Your mouth curves slightly lower than it feels. You raise your hand to fix your hair and hesitate, the reflection moves a blink later. For a moment, you can't tell which hand belongs to you. That's when the question quietly appears, not the one about wrinkles or lines, but the one that scares you more than any sign of age. What if your mind is starting to lose its place inside your body? You used to trust mirrors. They told you what to fix, what to hide, what to present. But now, the mirror feels like it's watching, not helping, like it knows something you don't. You stare longer, trying to catch what changed, and it stares back, patient, silent, unwavering. You think of all the mornings you brushed your teeth without thinking, buttoned your shirt automatically, trusted every motion. Today, that trust falters. Your hand trembles, not from weakness, but from unfamiliarity. It's not just your body aging, it's your sense of ownership fading, molecule by molecule. You touch your cheek. The glass returns a stranger's face doing the same. It should comfort you. Instead, it unsettles you, that perfect mimicry that no longer feels like you. You remember reading that people sometimes lose their own reflection after trauma or grief. You never thought it could happen to you. But maybe this is how it begins, not with memory loss, not with pain, but with the quiet drift between mind and matter. You glance away, but the feeling follows. The room looks normal, toothbrush, cup, towel, all where they've always been. Only you feel misplaced. Your body's here, your awareness a step behind, trying to catch up. It's not vanity. It's something deeper, the fear of disconnection, of being present yet absent at the same time. You whisper to yourself, almost pleading, "Come back." And the reflection does. For a second, everything sinks, your breath, your gaze, your heartbeat. Then it slips again. The mirror doesn't lie. It just reflects how far you've drifted. You want to look away, but you can't. There's something magnetic in that distance, something that whispers of all the mornings you moved without thinking, felt without doubting, lived without questioning whether your thoughts still belong to your skin. And suddenly, you realize. The fear isn't about losing beauty. It's about losing belonging, inside your own body. You wonder how long it's been happening. Was it after the stress, the long nights, the silence that crept in after someone stopped calling your name? Or has it been building quietly for years, waiting for this moment, this light, this exact reflection to show you the gap you refuse to see? You blink again. Your reflection blinks too, but slower this time, softer, almost sympathetic. As if it's not accusing you, just reminding you, you left first. You lean closer. The lines, the small tremors, the uneven tone, all details of a life lived. The reflection isn't cruel. It's just tired of being treated like proof instead of presence. You finally whisper, "Who are you?" And the silence that follows isn't empty. It's full, of all the mornings, movements, and touches that connected you once. Maybe the mirror hasn't changed. Maybe it's waiting, for your mind to find its rhythm again, for your gaze to align, for you to remember what it feels like to truly be inside the person you see. What if the mirror isn't stealing your reflection? What if it's showing you how far your mind has drifted from your body? And if that's true, how do you come back? You've probably never been taught that seeing yourself is a full-body process. You think it's just eyes and light, glass and reflection, but science says it's far more complicated. When you look in the mirror, your brain is running a choreography. It combines vision, touch, and internal body mapping into one seamless sense called embodiment, the feeling that, this is me. And when that choreography slips, even slightly, you feel what researchers call embodiment drift, the mind losing its precise alignment with the body it lives in. It doesn't mean you're losing your sanity. It means your neural orchestra is out of sync. In a 2021 study at Harvard Center for Mind-Body Medicine, neuroscientists used functional MRI to watch what happens when older adults stared at their own faces for a long time. Within minutes, activity in the insula, the region that links inner sensations like heartbeat and breath with external perception, began to fade. At the same time, the parietal cortex, responsible for spatial awareness of the body, started firing unevenly. Participants described the feeling in almost the same words: I see myself, but I don't feel like I'm inside what I'm seeing. This disconnect doesn't come from aging alone. It appears in moments of prolonged stress, grief, or isolation, any period when your nervous system spends too long in survival mode. When the body is treated as a burden instead of a partner, the brain stops updating its internal map of where you are. At the Mayo Clinic's Department of Behavioral Neurology, patients recovering from injury or surgery often say something strange. My hand doesn't feel like mine anymore. Doctors have learned this isn't imagination, it's the result of sensory misalignment. If you lose feedback from a limb or movement, the brain's image of that limb starts to fade, like a photograph exposed to too much light. The good news is that this map can be redrawn. A simple mirror can do it. In rehabilitation programs, patients perform mirror therapy, watching the healthy hand move in reflection while the injured one stays still. Within weeks, neural signals in both hemispheres begin to match again. The brain doesn't distinguish between the real and the reflected when it comes to restoring unity. The same principle quietly applies to emotional healing. When you avoid your reflection because it reminds you of loss, your mind gradually stops referencing the physical body as home. It starts living slightly outside of you, functional, intelligent, but detached. Behavioral researchers at Stanford found that when people go more than a week without consciously acknowledging their reflection, even just looking themselves in the eyes, stress hormones like cortisol rise measurably. Why? Because the body interprets invisibility as danger. To your nervous system, being unseen, even by yourself, feels like being erased. That's why many older adults who live alone report a peculiar anxiety when brushing their teeth or washing their faces. It isn't vanity, it's biology. The mirror, once a casual routine, becomes a test of self-existence. On a community level, psychologists studying aging populations in Japan call this phenomenon Atsuro-kan, the hollow feeling. It's the subtle awareness that one's reflection no longer carries the same presence or warmth. Elder participants in the study who practiced small daily rituals, lighting a candle before the mirror, naming one part of the body they're grateful for, showed reduced anxiety and better sleep after 6 weeks. Their brains began to resynchronize the circuits for recognition and emotion. Science, in its own language, keeps returning to one conclusion. The body doesn't betray the mind, it waits for reintroduction. From a neurological point of view, your reflection is an ongoing negotiation between sight and sense. From a human point of view, it's a conversation about trust. When you stop noticing your heartbeat, or when your breath feels detached from your chest, it's not just fatigue. It's your internal GPS searching for signal, asking, where am I in here? Every time you avoid your reflection, the answer gets fuzzier. Every time you make eye contact with yourself, it sharpens again. In one experiment at University College London, participants who gazed at their own faces for 3 minutes a day showed increased coherence between visual and tactile processing networks. They also reported a rise in emotional steadiness and reduced feelings of depersonalization. The body, it seems, needs to be witnessed to stay whole. But science can't measure the quiet dread of realizing you've stopped belonging to your skin. That part lives beyond data, in the space where biology and dignity meet. Because losing embodiment isn't just a neurological drift, it's a loss of continuity between the life you remember and the body that's still here. Maybe that's why small rituals matter so much. the warm light on your face, the steady brush of fingers on skin, the willingness to stand still long enough to recognize the person looking back. Every gentle act of seeing redraws the boundary between thought and flesh. Researchers call it sensory reintegration. Most of us simply call it coming home. And maybe that's what the mirror has been trying to tell you all along. That your body never left. It's your attention that wandered. Now, science and reflection both whisper the same reminder. Your body isn't waiting for youth. It's waiting for acknowledgement. Helen Moore was 69 when she stopped painting. For 40 years, she had painted morning light, across lakes, windows, wrinkled linen, the faces of strangers who sat for her in small Vermont studios. Her work was steady, precise, soft-edged. Until the accident. A winter storm, a fall on the porch, and the fracture that followed. Her right wrist healed, but her confidence didn't. The hand that once glided with brushes now trembled enough to blur a line. When she tried to paint again, her reflection in the studio window startled her. The hand looked older, foreign, detached, not hers. She avoided mirrors after that. Even the metal edge of a spoon could twist her stomach. I knew I was there, she said later, but I couldn't feel that it was me. It was like my body and I were renting the same space but on different days. Weeks turned to months. She told her daughter she was resting, but truthfully, she was afraid to look at herself. The mirror had become an X-ray for something she didn't want diagnosed, the fading of connection between mind and hand, artist and body. Then one afternoon, her occupational therapist, a woman named Dr. Callahan, brought a small rectangular mirror to her home. She set it on the table, right beside Helen's canvas. "We'll start with mirror drawing," she said. Helen frowned. "I can't even write straight now." "That's the point," Callahan smiled. "Let the reflection teach your brain where your hand is again." At first, Helen hated it. Watching her left hand move while the right stayed still made her dizzy, almost nauseous. But after a few minutes, something shifted. The mind, tricked by the reflection, started to imagine the injured hand moving, too. She described it as a phantom warmth spreading from her wrist to her shoulder. After 3 sessions, she could hold a brush again, still shaky, but present. She began to draw her hand in reflection every morning. Not perfect sketches, just outlines, smudges, gestures. The mirror, she said, stopped being an enemy. It became my teacher. It made me see that my hand never really left, it just forgot its place in the picture. 3 months later, she finished a painting called Returning Light. It showed a window pane reflecting half of her face and half of her hand, caught in the same beam of sun. She signed it with her right hand, crooked but certain. Joseph Lin was 74 when he stopped trusting scissors. For more than 5 decades, he had worked as a tailor in San Francisco's Chinatown, mending jackets, stitching wedding gowns, altering uniforms for men who wanted to look like themselves again. His hands were famous. He could cut cloth straighter than any machine, one client said. But tremors began one winter, quiet at first. A button slipped, then a seam wandered. Soon, his hands quivered even when they rested. He started leaving the workshop door closed. Mirrors in the fitting room were covered with fabric. He told his apprentice, "I don't want to see what these hands have become." His wife noticed the change most at night. He would sit on the edge of the bed, staring at his palms as if they belonged to someone else. "They look like my father's," he whispered once. "But they don't listen to me." One morning, his doctor suggested a rehabilitation program at a local senior center. It wasn't about medicine, it was about movement. Slow hand therapy, they called it. Exercises designed not for strength, but for awareness. Participants moved their fingers in rhythm with breathing, tracing invisible lines in the air. Joseph refused at first. "I don't need yoga," he said. But curiosity won. On the first day, the instructor placed a full-length mirror in front of the group. "Watch your hands," she said. "Don't correct them. Just watch. He lifted his right hand and saw it tremble. Then he lifted his left, matching it. For the first time in years, both hands moved together, even if imperfectly. He felt something strange, not shame, not fear, but a quiet recognition. After a few weeks, he brought a piece of scrap fabric to class. He began folding, pinning, aligning edges. His reflection followed. It wasn't fast, but it was synchronized. When my hands matched again, he said softly, the mirror stopped feeling like a stranger. He went home and uncovered the fitting room mirror. Every morning after that, he stood before it for exactly 1 minute, scissors in hand. He didn't cut anything. He just looked, at the wrinkles, the veins, the proof of decades of creation. I realized, he told his daughter later, my hands were never betraying me. They were asking me to slow down enough to meet them again. Helen and Joseph never met, but their stories carry the same rhythm, the way people lose themselves not through disease, but through distance. For Helen, it was the tremor that disconnected sight from touch. For Joseph, the silence that fell when he stopped trusting his craft. Both found healing not by rejecting the mirror, but by reclaiming it as a partner. In Vermont, Helen's studio smells of linseed and dust. The mirror she once feared now leans against the window, streaked with paint. Every time I look, it's a reminder, she said. If I can draw this hand, I still belong to it. In San Francisco, Joseph's workshop hums again. A half-finished suit hangs on the mannequin, scissors open beside it. He still trembles, but less. He says it keeps him humble. Perfection was never the point, he told a student. Precision is just another form of listening. What science calls embodiment drift, they both call forgetting the body's language. And what they rediscovered, through light, through reflection, through patience, was the simple dignity of synchronization. Their mirrors did not cure them. They returned them. Helen paints every morning now. Joseph cuts only when the morning sun hits his table just right. Both start their day the same way, standing still, looking at their own reflection, waiting for that familiar moment when vision and body click back into one frame. And when it happens, it's quiet. No applause, no miracle. Just a small, almost invisible nod. As if the person in the mirror has finally found their way home. There's a strange relief in realizing that nothing is broken, only unsynchronized. The mirror didn't turn against you. Your body didn't forget you. They simply stopped hearing each other clearly. What happens next isn't about therapy or recovery. It's about relearning the choreography between your eyes, your thoughts, and the flesh that carries them. Below are 7 quiet actions. Each one is small enough to do anywhere, gentle enough for any age, and powerful enough to start redrawing that invisible map between mind and body. 1. The 10-second pause before the mirror. Most people rush straight into fixing, hair, collar, makeup, expression. You don't. Not this time. Before you do anything, you stop. 10 seconds. No adjusting, no inspecting. Just standing. Neuroscientists at the University of Geneva found that when participants looked at their reflection without judgment, their anterior insula, the region responsible for interoception, or the sense of inner presence, lit up within seconds. That tiny pause re-establishes ownership. You're no longer an image being corrected, you're a person being re-acknowledged. So tomorrow morning, before the day demands you, stand still. Let your reflection breathe with you. It's not vanity. It's calibration. 2. Hand-to-face mapping. You raise your hand, touch your cheek, feel the temperature difference between skin and air. You trace your jawline, the curve of your neck, the edge of your ear. All while keeping your gaze in the mirror. In mirror therapy for stroke patients, this combination of touch and sight reactivates dormant neural pathways. But it also does something subtler. It reconnects the inner sense of, this is me, with the outer image of, that's me. For those who feel detached, this is the handshake that brings the two back together. You can start with 10 seconds. Over time, you'll notice something quiet. Your breathing slows when your fingers recognize the territory of your own skin again. 3. Light awareness. Light is more than illumination, it's instruction. Cold, blue light, like LED bulbs or phone screens, sharpens detail but flattens emotion. Warm, natural light softens contrast and re-engages the brain's emotional memory networks. Try this: move your mirror near a window, or turn off the harsh bulb overhead and let daylight guide your reflection. Watch how it changes your posture. When light becomes kinder, you instinctively stand taller. Researchers at the University of Exeter found that exposure to natural morning light increases serotonin and reduces visual self-criticism. You don't need a sunrise on a mountain, just a gentle beam on your face. Because dignity begins in lighting, not perfection. 4. The creative touch. Your brain doesn't distinguish much between looking at your hand and using your hand creatively. Both stimulate the same sensory motor circuits. That's why Helen started sketching her own hand again, and Joseph folded fabric even before he could sew. Find something small that your hands can shape: folding a napkin, smoothing a bedsheet, kneading dough, trimming a leaf, brushing a pet. These gestures rewrite the dialogue between seeing and doing. They say, I still exist here, in motion, in matter. Don't aim for skill. Aim for participation. Let imperfection be the texture that brings you back into your body. 5. The naming ritual. Every morning, choose one part of your body, your shoulders, your knees, the spot beneath your chin, and name it aloud. Not as anatomy, but as presence. Thank you, hands. Thank you, eyes. Thank you, knees, for not giving up on stairs. It might sound sentimental, but studies from the University of Wisconsin Center for Compassion Training show that spoken gratitude toward one's body lowers blood pressure and improves proprioceptive awareness, the sense of where your body exists in space. When you name, you locate. When you thank, you return. 6. The slow mirror walk. Stand a few steps away from the mirror. Look into it, but don't rush forward. Take one slow step. Pause. Then another. Notice the moment when the reflection feels less like a picture and more like a person meeting you halfway. Physical therapists use a similar technique to retrain balance after neurological injury, called approach synchrony. But for the rest of us, it's a symbolic act, closing the distance between image and inhabitant. If you've spent months avoiding your reflection, this may feel strange, even emotional. But that's the point. Emotion is proof of re-entry. Each step says, I am still here. I am still mine. 7. The mirror conversation. At the end of the day, stand in front of the mirror and ask one question, not about beauty, or health, or age. Something simpler. What did you survive today? It's not confession. It's recognition. By framing your reflection as witness instead of critic, you retrain the emotional memory that lives behind your eyes. In trauma studies at UCLA, researchers discovered that verbal reflection, speaking to your own image while describing daily experiences, reduces amygdala activity and increases neural integration. Translation: the body feels safe again when the mind speaks gently through the face. You don't have to talk long. A single sentence is enough to remind your nervous system, we made it through another day. Retraining the mind-body choreography. All these actions share one principle: the body remembers faster than the mind forgives. You can't think your way back into embodiment. You have to practice belonging. At first, it will feel mechanical. You'll wonder why standing before a mirror or touching your cheek could matter. But repetition is not about belief, it's about rhythm. Your neurons need to feel the pattern before they can believe the story again. Try building a micro-routine around these gestures. Morning, light plus pause, greet your reflection, adjust nothing. Midday, creative touch, use your hands for something tactile. Evening, mirror conversation, acknowledge what stayed, what healed. No tracking, no perfection, no challenge. Just attendance. When the mind resists. Some days, your thoughts will rebel. You'll catch yourself criticizing the lines, the sag, the tremor. That's fine. The brain loves familiar scripts, even cruel ones. Interrupt it softly. When the old voice says, "You've changed too much," answer, "Yes." That's evidence of living. When it says, "You don't look like yourself anymore," whisper, "Then let's meet who I've become." Every compassionate response rewires the same synapses that self-criticism erodes. Self-recognition isn't indulgence, it's neural repair. The social mirror. We think mirrors exist only on walls. But they exist in people too. A friend's gaze, a doctor's patience, a grandchild's laughter, they all reflect versions of us we forget to see. If you struggle to connect with your own reflection, borrow someone else's for a while. Let them describe what they see when they look at you, not appearance, but presence. Often, their words will rebuild what your eyes no longer translate. In long-term care programs in Denmark, elderly participants who engaged in shared, mirror moments, looking at each other and naming small details, "Your hands look strong today, your eyes are kind," reported higher emotional coherence and less loneliness. Because sometimes the shortest path back to yourself is through another person's recognition. Redefining the mirror. Maybe the real purpose of a mirror was never to show how you look, but to remind you where you live. In your bones. In your breath. In your ability to witness yourself without retreating. Every small act, pausing, touching, naming, becomes a declaration that you still belong inside this moving, imperfect, resilient shape. That you can rebuild familiarity one reflection at a time. There's no finish line here. Only the quiet satisfaction of noticing, one morning, that your reflection blinks exactly when you do. And in that tiny synchronization, the one you almost miss, you feel something extraordinary. Not youth, not beauty, not victory. But continuity. The sense that the person in the mirror has finally caught up with you again. These aren't habits of correction. They're habits of return. Science calls them reintegration. You might call them something simpler, learning to stay. Morning again. The same light. The same mirror. Only this time, it doesn't feel like inspection, it feels like reunion. You lean forward, not to fix, but to greet. The face looking back no longer lags behind you, it meets you exactly where you are. For months, maybe years, you believed the reflection was a judge. Now you see it for what it really is, a witness. It doesn't measure you, it remembers you. Every tremor, every scar, every new line is just evidence of presence. When the world grows fast and faces around you blur, the mirror stays, steady, patient, waiting for your attention to return home. It never asked you to look younger. Only to look honestly. You begin to notice things you once ignored. The slight rise of your shoulders when you breathe deeply. The small lift at the corner of your mouth when you exhale. The calm that returns when you stop searching for flaws and start noticing signs of life. That's what this was always about, not appearance, but alignment. The mind catching up with the body forgiving the distance. Science might call it sensory reintegration. We call it dignity. Because dignity isn't a posture or a treatment plan. It's a quiet awareness that you still inhabit yourself fully, even after the rhythm changes. It's the calm that appears when the person in the mirror finally feels like home again. So tomorrow, when the light hits the glass just right, pause. Not to admire. To acknowledge. Say softly, "I see you." Because sometimes that's all the body has been waiting for. And if, while you watch, you feel that strange warmth returning, that's not illusion. That's presence reawakening. That's you, finding your place again inside the person you've always been. We spend our lives learning how to look outward. But the real courage is learning to look inward, and stay. Not to correct, not to control, but simply to witness. To say, "This is still me, and I am still here." If any part of this story echoed something in you, a morning you avoided the mirror, a moment you felt misplaced in your own body, leave a small trace below. Not to prove anything, but to remind someone else that they aren't alone in this quiet drift between mind and matter. Share it if you think someone you love has started looking away from themselves. Save it for the days when reflection feels heavy again. Because one morning, you'll need to remember this. Your body never left you, it just waited for you to look back. And that's where dignity begins.